All right, guys, we have a Hollywood actor who's talking about his pay, saying he's underpaid, and the reason for that underpayment is systemic racism.
Definitely underpaid.
Of course, we gotta talk about it.
Yeah, you better. Yeah, you better.
Guys, before we get into today's video, please like and subscribe. Yes, today we're going to be talking about Djimon Hounsou. You might not recognize this guy's name, but you'll probably recognize his face. He's been in Gladiator, Amistad, Blood Diamond, Quiet Place Part 2, Quiet Place Day 1. I mean, the list goes on and on for this guy. He is Golden Globe nominated one time, Oscar nominated twice. And he was recently on an interview with African Voices, and I believe this aired on CNN, where he spoke about the fact that he is underpaid in this industry as an actor who is notable, or at the very least recognizable. So let's run the clip.
I just came off the boat and off the streets where Steven Spielberg, used me for this film, and even though I successfully did that, they just didn't feel like I was an actor for whom we should pay any respect to. So this conceptual idea of diversity and all that, it still has a long way to go. Systemic racism don't change like that anytime soon. I mean, I'm still struggling trying to make a living.
After 30 years in this business?
After, 30 years, let's say maybe the first 10 years was really trying to, sort of acclimate myself to the industry.
And then establish yourself.
Establish myself. I've been in this business and making films now over 2 decades, and still, with 2 Oscar nominations, been in many big blockbuster films, and yet I'm still struggling financially to make a living. I'm definitely underpaid.
Now, this is going to be an interesting discussion to have. I don't know what underpaid means in Hollywood. I would have to hear about the movies that he's working on, see comparative analysis of what other people are being paid, and scale that up to how big the movie actually is. So this is all about his feeling of being underpaid. Now, I have to admit, while I recognize this guy's face and I have seen his work, and I can recognize that he is a good actor, at least I don't have any notes for anything that I've seen him in, I did not know his name. He's not a household name. So I don't know what that speaks to as far as how much he should be paid. And let's be honest, with the finicky nature of being an actor in every single way, whether you're white, black, male, female, it doesn't matter who you are or where you're from, it's a tough job sometimes where you're going in and out of work. You'll get big contracts and smaller contracts. Who's to say who is paid enough? Now, I have seen some interesting examples of actors seemingly being underpaid. You could look at somebody like Jonah Hill, who when he worked on Wolf of Wall Street was paid like $60,000 in comparison to Leonardo DiCaprio being paid millions. And once you finally see the movie, you go, 60,000, maybe he should have been paid a little bit more for that. And I have no idea what this guy's being paid. So maybe there's room for the argument that he's not making enough. But is it due to systemic racism? I don't think so. I don't know. We got to take a strong look at Hollywood right now. You're seeing this guy as Golden Globe nominated once, Oscar nominated twice. Does that really mean that Hollywood is systemically racist because you don't feel as though you're getting paid what you should be getting paid? I don't know how that works in negotiations and advocating for oneself, but we have this tendency to jump to racism when things aren't going our way, or we feel like we're not being treated how we should. And really, when we take a step back, oftentimes we will find that there are other factors at play. Now, in looking at his IMDb page and how many movies he's been in, I can't imagine he should be struggling. I'm gonna be honest with you guys, although I don't know when these payments would have landed in his bank. From what I can find online, it says his net worth is around $4 million. So baby boy, how you struggling? I don't know. I also found some other reports that says he owns a $2.1 million home that he was actually trying to find a tenant for. That tenant would be paying $12,000 a month. Now, was he doing this because he couldn't afford to live in his home anymore? Was this a step to gain more finances? I don't know, but I feel like with the payments for these movies, shouldn't be struggling. But that's just me. And I have to analyze what he said in this video a little bit. And it's a remark about diversity that is really interesting if we think about it long enough. He's saying because he feels diversity, equity, and inclusion is not personally affecting his bank account, it's not changing whether or not he's struggling in the world, that it means that diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives are not real, or they're not as strong as they claim to be, which is a very self-centered way, I think, to look at diversity, equity, and inclusion. And I'm saying that as somebody who doesn't even agree with the concept, especially when we look into Hollywood. If you look into the narratives that we're seeing in movies now, they are completely injected with leftist agenda, leftist ideology, and we can see that even in the award shows that he remarks in being nominated for. If you want to get nominated at the Oscars, you have to meet their diversity, equity, and inclusion standards. That means in your storylines, you have to tell the stories of marginalized identity groups. It means in your cast, you have to have a certain percentage of marginalized identity groups. Not only that, they have to be cast in main roles in the movie or the project that you are being considered for. Even behind the scenes, in your production crew, with things like grips and cameramen, you have to have a certain amount of people from marginalized identities. So I think the diversity push is really real. Now, he might be hitting something in the underbelly of this story, is that these diversity initiatives, while sounding good on their face, are really not affecting people in the way that they anticipate them to. In his instance, he anticipated it to affect his wallet, and I guess it didn't, even though he's managing to find himself in these blockbuster movies. I have an issue with diversity, equity, inclusion all around from the very foundation of it. He seems to have an issue that he doesn't happen to be the particular black man that's benefiting from it. And there's an argument to be made that he is the black man that is benefiting from it, considering that he finds himself on all these major blockbuster movies, and he does seem to be making enough money to get by, although he claims to be struggling. And if we look into Hollywood, if we look into the storylines of other actors and the lives and careers of other actors, you're gonna find a whole lot of them who are white, black, men, women, members of privileged communities and marginalized communities who are either struggling, and that could be to not being paid enough or poorly managed finances, or they're really successful. And where you land on that spectrum of actors is probably a lot up to luck and networking and knowing certain people and putting your head in the game. But it also could be that, you know, people just didn't choose you in that light. I hate to be the person to say that to somebody who's complaining about where they're at in life right now. But if you've been at it for 30 years and this is where you're at, this is where you're at. I don't know that we raise our hands and blame racism, but that happens to be what we do in Hollywood. I think we've seen this a number of times. Most recently, I can think of Taraji P. Henson. You see her in a lot of what we would consider to be black projects, which are run and financed by black people who are successful in Hollywood, and she still complains about not being paid enough, and that being due to her being a black woman and having to work harder than those around her. I don't know. You seem to be paid quite a bit to me, and you should be making it by, and you should be doing well, and let's not forget that this is a luxury career. To be able to act and to be able to have that as what you do for a living is a luxury and a privilege in itself. So should we really be going around complaining about systemic racism right now in our year 2025? I don't think so. But guys, those are my thoughts. Drop your thoughts in the comments down below. Let me know how you feel about this. Do you feel like he has a point here? And do you feel like his reference point for being underpaid is due to systemic racism? I'm not convinced, but maybe you can convince me. Drop it down below. As always, if you disagree with anything said in this video, duke it out, but do so respectfully. We encourage healthy debate on this channel. And if you like this video, like, subscribe. Click the notification bell to be notified every single time I post a video for you guys, which is every day. And I will see you next time. Bye, guys.
Yeah, you better. Yeah, you better.